My next guest is a multi six-figure Fortune 500 sales executive in the tech industry by day, executive life coach by night. Please welcome Becca Powers. Welcome to the Powerful Female Leaders Podcast. I'm your host, Anna Patricia Bourgeois, certified business coach. I am here to help you up-level, generate consistent wealth, increase your confidence, attract dream clients, and master your mindset so that you can fully own your power and achieve next-level results in your online business and beyond. Every week, a powerful conversation will take place with amazing guests, or I'll share from my experience to help inspire you to start and scale the business of your dreams while being powerfully you. The time has come to stop playing small, stop hiding, and stop waiting. Now is the perfect time for you to passionately pursue your heart's desire as the powerful leader you were born to be. Are you ready? Let's do this. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Powerful Female Leaders Podcast. I am here today with Becca Powers. Hey, girl.
Hey, so happy to be here, Anna.
Yeah, I'm so happy to have you on. I read your website. I followed you on Instagram. I'm like, ooh, this person right here, I want to get on the podcast. Your story is so inspiring, and I want you to share with us how you got started in business, how you became to be the person you are today.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for that. It'd be my pleasure to share. So I have a 20-year corporate sales background, combined with entrepreneurship on the side, right? So I always say I'm multifaceted, and that's what I love talking to, especially about women, because I think we are multi-passionate and we wear multiple hats. So I always just like to invite that space instead of saying I do a singular thing. I always like to say I do multiple things just to start off because I think that's fun. But really a little bit about my story comes from that space. So I was a Fortune 500 sales leader. I was a regional sales manager for Dell in 2013. And as a leader, I have a mantra of putting people before profits is my mantra. And in 2013, I got recruited by a company that has this almost the same exact mantra. And I thought it was fate. I was like, oh my God, the job of my dreams just dropped into my lap. And when I went to resign from Dell, I ended up taking that job. I resigned to my VP of sales, who said something to me when I spoke to him that was the inspiration for the book I just wrote, Harness Your Inner CEO. He says to me, Becca, I'm so proud of you. You are the CEO of your life. And that melted over me, just like how you were like, that's like how I felt. I was like, wow, that's empowering. But that's really like where the aha came in. But my story went from being that empowered to moving into this new company and this new role. And a few months into the role, really met a lot of resistance. My leadership style was highly different than the rest of the leaders. And I actually got told to turn it down by 50%. And that really sparked this inauthenticity in me, right? I wasn't able to show up as my authentic self. I really started striving for validation, approval, and all these things that as a powerful woman, I normally didn't do, right? But this, it sparked me to kind of weaken my stance because I was the primary breadwinner at home. So I don't know if any listeners can relate to this, or Anna, if you can too, in your past. But there's those moments in time where you question your abilities and, you're like, maybe I should stay small because it's safer. I don't want to run the risk of losing my job and putting my family at jeopardy, or thoughts like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure.
So after spending about 3 years in a role like that, I couldn't power through anymore. I literally came home from a bad day at work and I was so defeated and so disempowered. It's one of my lower moments in my life. I was so weak that at 10 o'clock at night, after putting the kids to bed and doing the whole thing, I actually fell to the bathroom floor in
Mm,
powerlessness and in hopelessness.
mm.
And it was in my weakest state that I started questioning everything.
Yeah.
I started I'm like, I don't know the last time I prayed, but I started praying. I started doing everything. I'm like, if somebody could just help me get off the bathroom floor, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But it was in that moment that I remembered that I was the CEO of my life, that I
Mm,
had a lot more power than I thought I did. And it was that thought that had me rise off the bathroom floor a
mhm.
different woman than the one that went down. And life
Yeah.
has really never been the same after that.
Wow, that's incredible. Like I love those type of stories for sure. And would you say that's the moment that also inspired you to write your book around?
Yes.
Yeah.
I had the 2 year, it took a 2 year transformation to kind of heal and
Yeah.
rise into my full potential and all of those awesome things, which I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about too.
Mhm.
But yeah, it was the pivotal moment for sure.
Oh, I love that so much. And yeah, I definitely want you to talk about how went through those 2 years and how you built that bravery, that courage to do the thing.
Yeah, I want to. There's a few things, and I like to talk about things in the forms of tips and stuff like that too, so that
Hmm.
listeners can take practical advice and apply it to their
Yeah.
life. So, one conversation that we can have is something that really helped me, and I know there's a lot of powerful women entrepreneurs that listen to this podcast too. Is that I gave myself permission for
Mm.
I opened up our conversation by saying, like, I am, I was a Fortune 500 sales leader and an entrepreneur, and I'm a mom, and I'm a Kundalini yoga teacher. I didn't mention that then, but those are but that's like part of what I'm talking about. I gave myself permission for the and. So if there's listeners here that are identifying, like, oh, I do have multiple interests and I find myself fragmented or not allowing myself to have the and, I'm stuck in the or. One of the
Mm.
things that helped me heal the most was to allow myself to be a full person and give myself permission to have multiple interests and businesses for that matter.
Mhm. Yeah, I love that so much. I mean, I think we all have those moments where we're like, oh, if I do this, I cannot do that, and then it's like up to us to be like, no, like I can have it all. Like it's totally like a mindset shift, I feel.
Yes, that's exactly it. I'm like cheering over here. My hands were like, yes, but it's a huge mindset shift. And to be able to come out of the or into the and is like so huge, so huge.
Yeah, for sure. And let's talk a bit about balance. I want you to talk more about that too, because I know that's a huge thing.
Yes, so balance is huge. And I'm going to bring the power of and back into that
Mhm.
because balance, I feel, is BS. It's so hard to obtain balance as an outward goal. And so I say that because as I share this like multifaceted world, I think I was often trying to find myself as to balance work, to balance being a mom, to balance my hobbies, and maybe even try to give them equal presence in my life. And life just doesn't work that way. I would try to get balance and then a dog would get sick or a kid would need something or I'd get a project at work, right?
Yeah.
And I almost started feeling guilt and shame for not being able to obtain balance.
Mm.
And then I realized that that concept was really hurting me more than it was helping me. So what I shifted to instead was identifying balance. And I might even be able to bring my yogic background into this, but I started identifying balance with the way my body felt. Do I feel in
Mm.
harmony with myself?
Mhm.
Right? Because, think about a time when you were really quote unquote in balance. What you really felt was harmony. You felt joy, you felt ease, Your body probably felt relaxed. You're like, wow, I could do some more of this.
I love that for sure. Like creating that awareness and that mindfulness is huge.
Right. And then, can you think of a time where you didn't feel in balance? Like, how did your body feel? Or like, how did you feel?
Like so much more energy for sure.
Hmm.
Yeah, ugh, I like that so much. I mean, it's so true. And the more aware we are of it and the more intentional we are about it, it also helps a lot.
It does. It does. And so thank you for asking about balance, because as we take this conversation, and if we're using the analogy of you are the CEO of your life and we're taking the rise, hopefully no one is as burnt out as I was that they're on the bathroom floor. But if any of the listeners are here and they're like,
Mhm.
I feel like I'm close to that, or I feel overwhelmed, I feel overworked, I feel overstressed, or any of those things, what I can say is these are little things that you can do practically today to kind of shift that energy. Like, are you striving for balance, and it's not really, it's really not something that can come to fruition.
Mhm.
If the answer is yes, then you're going to feel stressed. Right? But can you
Mm.
identify how your body feels and start to lean into the things that you need today rather than what you think you need? Maybe you need rest.
Yeah, that is
Hmm.
huge. Ugh, yes. Like rest is so important. Self-care is so important. Like I feel like it should be like a priority for sure.
Yes. Yes. And actually it is. It should be. And that is, using that arc again of rising into empowerment. My journey really started with prioritizing myself. So I gave myself permission
Mhm.
to be I was, and that was a huge relief and a huge moment
Mhm.
of empowerment for myself. But then it was followed exactly what you were just talking about by prioritization. When I stopped to look, how did I end up on the bathroom floor? It's because I wasn't
Mm.
even on the priority list.
Mm.
Everything else was. And the moment that I started prioritizing myself to the top of the list is when I began to heal, is when I began to get more time and
Mhm.
space for myself.
Yeah, so good. I love that so much. It's such a great reminder, you know? It's so simple but so true.
And I feel like a lot of the things that really move the needle forward as we're talking about being powerful leaders and things like that are simple, but yet they're some of the fundamentals that we miss because they are simple in concept but hard in real life.
Yeah, like it's so much more easier said than done, for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah. So, what would you say, like what would you say is your like biggest accomplishment either in your life or in your business?
I always say in life, it's my kids. I
Mhm.
think that seeing them, I'm a big proponent of changing the generational story,
Mhm.
and to see them rise and to have their own voice and to do things differently. I think that makes me feel like I've accomplished something. Um, in my business, I really feel that writing the book and sharing
Mhm.
my story fully is probably one of my biggest accomplishments to date. And I say that for the obvious reason of A, it's a huge accomplishment, but B, the impact, right? That's like why you do your podcast, the impact that you can have on other people and other women. I got my first message. That book's been out for 4 months, and I got my first message from someone I had no clue. Like it wasn't part of my networks, like
Mhm.
it
Yeah.
was someone I've never met saying how much my story impacted them and allowed them to make much outdated changes that they needed to make.
Mhm. Ugh, yeah. So good. Like it's so crazy you say that cuz I just like hosted a masterclass around storytelling and I always say to my clients like stories are so powerful.
So powerful.
Yeah, it's like life-changing.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I love that. So, I ask this to everyone who comes on the podcast and I'm very curious to know your answer. What does being a powerful leader mean to you?
I say being a powerful leader means standing in your authentic power in a way that uplifts others.
Yeah, I love when it's short and sweet. And so, how would you say is like uplifting others? Like, what does that look like for you?
For me, I'm all about impact and making positive changes.
Mm-hmm.
So that's, I feel, and I was listening to a little bit of your story too, right? As I was mentioning on our pre talk, but I feel like when you've gone through something that's
Mm-hmm.
painful or that's really where you've really faced adversity, I think being a
Mm-hmm.
leader is when you've overcome that and you're able to look at others and extend your hand and help them
Mm.
rise, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's
Yeah.
kind of where I go when you say that, is like the imagery that comes to mind.
Yeah, I love that so much. And would you say you've gone through a lot of adversity in your childhood too?
My parents were full-time musicians when I was born, which was awesome. Like I grew up with bongos and guitars around campfires, but they also, I mean, my parents were from the 70s. Like they were sex, drugs, and rock and roll all day, right? And so like with that came the other side of a lot of partying. And, I felt like I needed to be the
Mm-hmm.
responsible one who protected me and my brother. And we had a lot of people in the house all the time. Not that anybody really harmed us or whatever, but there was a lot of drinking and a lot of partying, and it was scary
Mm.
as a kid. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So, had to overcome a lot of that. And then my family is, from the Midwest, which is fine, but there was a lot of limitations around money beliefs. Like I was told, if
Mm.
you make over, $40,000, you've made it. And, at 30 years old, I broke my first six figures and my
Mm-hmm.
family didn't even know what to say. You know?
Wow.
Like, so there's just a lot of mindset stuff that comes along with our families too, that I feel that
Yeah.
I've had to overcome.
So how did you begin to overcome them?
Well, I am one that likes a challenge. I am definitely a trailblazer. So I
Mhm.
twofold. One, I like money. So just going to be transparent about that. I like money. I started in sales when I was 18 years old, and I made my first commission check and I was just baffled. I was like, so they're going to pay me extra for doing my job? That's pretty awesome. Um, but I just like seeing what I'm capable of. I like seeing, I think
Mm.
that limitations are BS. And as I've gotten older, I was a competitive soccer player too. So, like you grow up playing sports, you can push the limits, that so much is your own mindset. And so I think I've just kind of been obsessed with pushing boundaries, seeing what I'm capable of, helping other people see what they're capable of. Like I really find that whole arena to be fun.
Yes. Oh my gosh. When you said like pushing the limits, like that's literally what entrepreneurs do every day.
Uh huh.
I love it so much. And yeah, not everyone is born with this, you know. It needs to be we need to be special and a little bit crazy to do what we do.
Yes. And I have learned too that over the years, when someone says I'm crazy, then I'm definitely going down the right road.
I like that. Yeah, for sure. So, do you have like any last piece of wisdom, that you'd like to share with our audience today?
I want to share that if you can really take this in and run with it, that you are the CEO of your life. And when I was really able to hold that vision for myself, I was able to accomplish everything that I wanted to accomplish. And it really empowered me, and I want to empower you as the listener. If you're the CEO of your life and you made your decisions from that vantage point, what decisions would be different?
Mm.
Would you have more courage to make the choices that serve you? And so I
Mhm.
leave with that. What can you do today to be the CEO of your life and to really step into that role and honor it for yourself?
Yes, amen. I love that so much. So, where can people go to connect with you further in the online space?
So, in the online space, I am on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and my handle's the same across all three. It's at Becca Powers 1313. And my website is beccapowers.com. If you go to /podcast freebies, I actually have a inner CEO self-assessment to kind of see whether, on what levels you're thriving or surviving. So if you want to get into that, you can. And outside of that, the book is on Amazon, and that's Harness Your Inner CEO. And you can just, put that in the search.
Awesome. I'm definitely checking your book out for sure.
Thank you for that.
You're so awesome. Thank you for being here. It was such a pleasure meeting you.
Yeah, it was great to meet you too. Thank you for having me on.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Powerful Female Leaders podcast. If you love this episode, make sure to spread the message, leave a review, and subscribe. I would forever be grateful for you. I also want to hear from you, and I want to know your feedback and your questions for future episodes. So don't be shy, say hi, and send me a message at Powerful Female Leaders Podcast on Instagram. Until then, I'll see you on the next episode.